The Grand Canyon, marked by stratified bands of red rock, is one of the most notable natural landforms in the United States and the entire world. Nicknamed the basement of history, it is an embodiment of rock layers, with each rock representing a distinct prehistoric period since the Earth's genesis. Recently, a group of experts researched the Grand Canyon and discovered findings that will change the course of history and our knowledge about this historic structure. But what exactly did they discover, and how will this affect the Grand Canyon? Join us as we explore scientists' terrifying discoveries in the Grand Canyon. Some weird prehistoric life forms were found. The discovery of life forms began when a massive rock tumbled down from a towering cliff, revealing some markings. Alan Krill, a geologist, was on a hiking trip with his student along the Grand Canyon National Park's Bright Angel Trail when his keen eye spotted an unusual rock with distinct marks that seemed like footprints. An intrigued Krill took some pictures of these markings and sent them to his old friend and colleague, Stephen Rowland, paleontologist at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, renowned for his excavation of the Washoe Hunting Ground, a 200-year-old butchering site found in Carson City. From Rowland's analysis of the photos he received, it turned out that Krill's discoveries were ancient fossilized tracks. Rowland suggested the footprints to be as old as 313 million years, making the fossil the oldest and earliest evidence of vertebrate animals ever found in the Grand Canyon. This animal print on dunes was proposed to have belonged to an amniote, a hard-shelled, egg-laying animal. So how did the footprint remain well preserved until its discovery? The rock bearing the markings weighs hundreds of pounds and had fallen from the Manacacha Formation, a large outcropping of sandstone that's about 314 million years old. The sand was a significant factor that helped preserve fossil markings for millions of years. Going deep into the analysis, Rowland discovered that the fossil markings depict two separate reptilian animals crossing diagonally over this boulder. He also noted that one of the animals was a foot long and employed a sideways stepping pattern. This lateral sequence is when an animal moves the left rear foot in succession with the left front, followed by the right rear and then the right front. Although scientists are still curious whether the tracks were from two separate reptilians or the same animal at different times, this is because the second set of tracks seems to move slightly faster than the first, which made Rowland conclude that the lateral sequence gait is common among tetrapods, four-legged vertebrates. Whichever way, the markings show the early presence of crawling vertebrates, which had never been found elsewhere until now. The finding also serves as prehistoric evidence of amniotes living in dunes, predating other evidence by at least 8 million years. Despite Rowland's discovery, some scientists believed his study to be controversial. A paleontology program manager at the Grand Canyon, Mark Nebel, said there is significant disagreement within the scientific community regarding the interpretation of tracks and determining the age of rocks. This made Rowland's analysis controversial and particularly challenging because it's impossible to determine the creature responsible for these tracks. Nebel, however, praised Krill for the find, as the rock carrying the prints was located where a lot of people had passed without spotting them. Number 9. Grand Canyon Caves with sloth dung and mummified bats. Most people have no idea that the Grand Canyon's cliffs have caves embedded in them. The inside of these caves is filled with several remains of plants and animals, which give us an insight into the region's past in the days of the Ice Age. The cave also varies in size, as some can be so narrow to enter, you would have to be on all fours, while others are roomy enough to spin in without touching the walls. Either way, these caves have been a perfect habitat for wood rats, bats, birds, and the now extinct mountain goats and sloths. Due to Arizona's dry climate, the bones of these animals were exceptionally well preserved in their dry state. This remarkable preservation allowed researchers to gain valuable insights into the events that took place 40,000 years ago during the Ice Age. Scientists' study of these fossils started with the Rampart Cave, which was discovered in 1936 at the far western end of the canyon at an elevation of 534 meters. Scientists found several piled-up dungs, like bowling balls scattered on the floor, and they looked as though they were excreted in recent times. However, it was discovered that they were made by a roughly 9-foot-long, 500-pound sloth that had been extinct for over 10,000 years. When these dungs were analyzed through radiocarbon dating, they were said to have been in the cave for a long period between 11 to 40,000 years old. Plant matter detected in the feces helped scientists figure out the eating habits of these wild creatures. Also, The matter provided details about regional plants, including globe mallow, Mormon tea, saltbush, catclaw, cacti, reeds, and yucca, which had existed on this landscape. Neat piles of wood rat's dung also served as tangible records of animals and plant remains that had existed undisturbed in the Grand Canyon for thousands of years. Also discovered in the cave were the skulls of Harrington mountain goats. Paleontologist Chester Stock, in the 1930s, was the first to describe these animals, believing they had existed for at least 19,000 years and disappeared alongside the Shasta ground sloth, a distinct giant hairy Nothrotherops. He also recorded that Harringtons were a smaller, short-haired version of the modern mountain goat. The cave also houses mummified bats, including condors that are exceptionally well preserved. According to Steve Emsley, a biology professor at the University of North Carolina Wilmington, some condors and their tissues are preserved so effectively that even the skin and other details are intact on certain bones. Emsley, an expert on birds, explored the caves alongside Mead, an anthropologist. When Emsley conducted chemical analysis on the dried-out tissue remnants of the condors, he found that the Grand Canyon condors likely fed on megafauna, which later became extinct. This extinction caused death to the mummified bats. Number 8. The Colorado River is almost dried up. The Colorado River originates in the Rocky Mountains in the southwestern United States. With a distance spanning approximately 1,450 miles, it flows through deep canyons and rugged terrain, carving out stunning landscapes along its course. One of the most famous sections of the river is the Grand Canyon, where its powerful force has shaped a breathtaking natural wonder. The river channels water through deserts, waterfalls, and canyons and runs across the lush wetlands by a vast delta in Mexico and into the Gulf of California. As it flows through the Grand Canyon, it's utilized for kayaking, canoeing, and excursions. Unfortunately, scientists have discovered that the river will soon dry up if proper measures are not taken. Environmentalists believe that the problem has been building for decades but has come to a head in recent years because the major reservoirs on the river have fallen to dangerously low levels. This is because the western states build dams and divert flow into cities such as Los Angeles, Phoenix, San Diego, and other fast-growing cities. This has decreased inflow into the former Grand River. One of these dams created is the Glen Canyon Dam. Engineers may be satisfied that the dam diverts the Colorado River, but environmentalists believe it's been nothing but a danger to the river since its creation. The river still flows fine at the Grand Canyon, and boaters are still seen cruising across Nevada and Arizona's Lake Mead, which is the largest reservoir in the United States by water capacity. But at the lake's edge, lines of the rock walls are visible, showing the water level is far below where it once was. The Glen Canyon Dam is 50 years old and is the force responsible for the creation of Lake Powell. Lake Powell is a man-made reservoir created by the flooding of the Glen Canyon Dam. Even though the dam was created for a hydropower boost, the water levels are too low to produce any. If this continues, water will not be able to flow down the river due to the dam's positioning, which would have a negative impact on the water supply for the people of California, Arizona, Mexico, and even Nevada. This prompted environmental groups to call on politicians to invest in reshaping the Glen Dam's plumbing system. With an update in the dam system, there will be enough room for water to flow into the Colorado River. Hopefully, this is done soon before we lose one of the world's natural wonders. Number 7. Uranium deposit found in the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon is a spiritual and cultural homeland to at least 11 Native American tribes. One would think a place like this would be safe from something like uranium contamination, but the reverse is the case. There are numerous uranium mines and hundreds of mining claims located outside the boundaries of the park, posing a serious threat to the preservation of this extraordinary gorge. Uranium deposits are located deep within layers of sandstone, siltstone, and mudstone throughout the southwest. In the Grand Canyon region specifically, uranium ore is found in geological formations known as breccia pipes, a region that first attracted miners in the 1870s. The history of uranium mining near Grand Canyon National Park dates back to the 1950s when operations began at Orphan Mine, located just 2 miles from Grand Canyon Village. Over the years, a total of at least 8 uranium mines have operated close to the park. Among them is the currently active Canyon Mine, which has been renamed Pinyon Plain Mine, the highest-grade uranium mine being developed in the U.S. This mine poses a threat to the springs inside the Grand Canyon. During the mid-2000s, there was a significant increase in the number of mining claims around the canyon due to the high demand for uranium and the potential financial gains. Unfortunately, even though the Grand Canyon is widely recognized as a national treasure and was designated as a World Heritage Site by the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, in 1979, mining claims continue to be staked on the federal public land surrounding the park. The ability to move stealthily through the rugged woods of the canyon intrigued many, including cryptozoologist enthusiast Don Davis, who believed in the existence of Mogollon. Davis held this belief due to an experience he had during his mid-1940s when, on a Boy Scout trip near Payson, he claimed to have laid eyes on a large hairy creature with expressionless eyes and a square-shaped face and head. According to anecdotal reports found in the canyon, the creature is believed to be over 7 feet tall, walks upright, has at least 2-inch-long claws, is covered in shaggy hair, and emits a pungent odor similar to dead fish or rotting meat. Due to its adaptive nature, the beast tends to mimic the noises of wildlife in its surroundings. Reports state the creature gives off an eerie sound similar to a woman's scream in great peril. While Stevens and Davis's testimonies have failed to convince most scientists, who attribute these sightings either to a bluff or to a large standing grizzly bear, the existence of this creature is yet to be confirmed. If you ever hear a piercing scream or come across a set of impossibly wide footprints on the Mogollon Rim, run and never look back, because the wild man of the rock might be lurking deep in the woods, waiting for the perfect moment to strike, or at the very least, raid your tent. During the Cuban Missile Crisis of 1961, as fears of bombing lingered, President John F. Kennedy sought to create a safe place in case of attack and found the Grand Canyon to be the perfect spot for protective measures. He built luxury suite caves and supplied each cave with enough food to support over 2,000 people for at least a month. As the bomb never dropped, the suite, which took 4 months to complete, became a tourist spot where visitors to the Grand Canyon can still take refuge. Nestled about 220 feet beneath the surface and referred to as the world's quietest, darkest, and oldest underground hotel, this remarkable geological marvel boasts caverns and walls dating back over 65 million years. The emergency rations stored remained fresh and usable even after 40 years due to the Grand Canyon's naturally dry climate, which preserves everything in it. As for amenities, the lounge area has a television, record player, beds, and a library to ensure the comfort of those in the suite. Additionally, this special suite even has running water, with several hundred gallons brought down to the cave by hand. Thanks to the super dry, zero underground humidity climate, these edibles are still usable today because of the dry conditions. No other form of life, including rats, insects, and other animals, can survive living at this depth to ruin the stash. However, it's not entirely private, as the suite is shown as part of the attractions in the national park. To experience this luxury, you have to pay a night rate of $900. The Grand Canyon stretches approximately 277 miles long, up to 18 miles wide, and reaches a depth of over a mile. Its sheer size and the intricate layers of rock exposed along its walls provide a unique geological record spanning billions of years of Earth's history. The story of the Grand Canyon begins roughly 70 million years ago during the late Cretaceous period when the region was a relatively flat landscape. Over time, tectonic activity and the uplift of the Colorado Plateau caused the land to rise, setting the stage for the canyon's formation. Around 6 million years ago, the Colorado River, which flows through the region today, started to carve its way through the rising plateau. As the river cut deeper and deeper into the rock layers, it exposed a wide range of geologic formations showcasing millions of years of Earth's history. As the Colorado River continued to flow, it eroded the layers of sedimentary rock, primarily composed of sandstone, limestone, and shale, that make up the canyon walls. While the river was the main driver of the Grand Canyon's formation, other factors also played a role. Climate changes over millions of years influenced the rate of erosion, with colder periods increasing the power of glacier and freeze-thaw cycles and warmer periods allowing for more abundant water flow. Additionally, the presence of harder rock layers, such as resistant sandstones, slowed down erosion in some areas, resulting in the formation of dramatic cliffs and steep slopes. Visitors to the Grand Canyon can witness the ongoing process of erosion as the Colorado River continues to shape and reshape this remarkable natural wonder. It stands as a testament to the dynamic forces of nature and serves as a vivid reminder of the Earth's geological past. In 2021, a body was found at the Grand Canyon about 430 feet below the rim at Yavapai Point. The body was believed to belong to a 45-year-old Hungarian man, Gabor Berchtongányi, after his family reported him missing to the Las Vegas police. The police swung into action and found the Hungarian man's car and belongings at the park visitor center. As they searched further, his body was found 131 meters below the rim of the canyon. This was a shock to those involved in the search. However, what startled them even further was the discovery of another body in close proximity. The body belonged to Scott Walsh, who was last seen disembarking from a shuttle bus at the south rim of the park in 2015. His body was found almost 5 kilometers away. The clothing had blended in with the surroundings, and the body was positioned in a way that made it almost undetectable. No one knows why the authorities couldn't find these bodies earlier. Then a discovery answered everything. The Grand Canyon is often referred to as a layer cake of geological history, with its rock formations stacked neatly as they have been for millions of years. However, deep within the canyon lies a huge gap between rocks that had kept many secrets hidden away from the human eye. Recent discoveries have started to shine light on the mysterious space, explaining why we keep stumbling on new bodies we never thought existed in the canyon. While looking for more mysterious discoveries within the canyon's gaps, a large, box-like structure was discovered and pulled up from the canyon. Everyone was puzzled by what could be in this box. Could it contain bodies buried by Native Americans from long ago who inhabited the canyon, or could it contain secrets about the Mogollon monster? Due to concerns and fears surrounding the mysterious box, it was never opened. What do you believe was in the box? Would you have opened it? The Grand Canyon area has witnessed the lives of many creatures, each with their unique stories. Some passed through fleetingly, while others chose to establish lasting roots. One of those with established roots at the Grand Canyon are the ancestral Puebloans, believed to be relatives of the modern-day Hopi, Zuni, and other Puebloan tribes. Data from the tree rings of juniper trees common among Puebloan dwellings showed that the Tusayan settlement, located a few miles from the southern edge of the Grand Canyon, was built around 1185 AD. With constructed agricultural fields, communal buildings, established homes, and religious structures in these ancient dwellings, archaeologists concluded that ancient life in this area dates back 800 years. The Tusayan ruins consist of a central plaza surrounded by storage rooms, living quarters, and kivas. The plaza faced south to attract the sun in the cooler seasons. The living quarters consisted of a single story of rock and wood with about 3 or 4 main rooms. Storage rooms held food that was dried to preserve it during harsh winter months. The ruins contain 2 kivas, which are ceremonial structures that modern Puebloans still use for religious ceremonies and festivals to date. Kivas are circular, below the ground, and accessed by a ladder through a hole in the roof. Many Hopi, who are Native American ethnic groups, believe they entered this world through kivas. But the presence of the Kaibab limestone, a resistant cliff-forming stone, prevented the ancient people from digging very far into the ground to build their kivas. With National Park Service permission, archaeologists from Gila Pueblo in Globe, Arizona, excavated the site in the 1930s. To show their commitment, the group promised to build a museum nearby to interpret the site and agreed that half of any artifacts they uncovered would remain at the Grand Canyon. The built museum, initially called the Wayside Museum of Archaeology, is now the popular Tusayan Museum. It's a small, square, 2-room building made mostly of stone with some wooden beams. It looks like it could have blended in seamlessly with the Puebloan settlement 800 years ago. Since its launch in 1932, exhibits cover both the archaeological and modern history of 5 major tribes within the Grand Canyon: the Havasupai, Hopi, Hualapai, Navajo, and Paiute. Highlighting their enduring and strong historical connections with the area, one of the most significant exhibits is a display of split-twig figurines dating back 2,000 to 4,000 years. Though they were not found at Tusayan ruin itself, these figurines, collected from caves in the Grand Canyon, speak to the long human presence at the Grand Canyon and its use by Native Americans. The Havasupai people, also known as the Havasu Baja, primarily reside in Supai, a tributary canyon within the Grand Canyon. It is one of the smallest American Indian nations in the United States and the only place where mail is sent and delivered by mule. However, their presence extended across a wider region, reaching as far south as Bill Williams Mountain and east to the Little Colorado River. Their actual living location is up and down the vertical layers of the Grand Canyon, depending on the season. This means during the fall and winter, they inhabited the Colorado Plateau located at the canyon's rim, engaging in hunting and gathering activities for sustenance. In spring and summer, Havasupai families cultivated the Tonto platform, including Indian garden and other fertile areas, growing crops like squash, corn, beans, sunflowers, gourds, and amaranth. The Havasupai lived a simple life and created paths for travel and to guide visitors to their homes. These paths are still present and maintained to date. The Havasupai welcomed the first Spanish expedition in 1776, who later became allies with the Havasupai's neighbors, the Hopi. The Hopi people were known for their respect for nature and natural resources and influenced the Havasupai to adopt similar practices. As the Spanish spread Christianity, the Havasupai incorporated many aspects into their religion. They were known for their reverence for the environment and connection to the natural world. For example, in their religious and cultural practices, they held certain animals as sacred, with the beaver as a prime example. The beaver was not seen as merely a part of their ecosystem but as a vital component of their cultural heritage and spiritual life. In Havasupai cosmology, the beaver was believed to possess supernatural powers and was often associated with fertility, wisdom, and the ability to transform and adapt to its surroundings. The beaver was also seen as a symbol of community, cooperation, and hard work, reflecting the Havasupai's own values and way of life. The Havasupai believed that beavers played a crucial role in maintaining the balance of nature and that their activities in creating dams and wetlands were essential for the health of the environment. This belief in the sacredness of the beaver was deeply intertwined with their daily lives, guiding their interactions with the natural world and shaping their cultural identity. With the end of the Cold War, the creation of the Grand Canyon Parashant National Monument was authorized by President Bill Clinton in 2000 to preserve the unique natural and cultural resources of the area. Located in the northwestern part of the Grand Canyon, it covers over 1 million acres and includes remote and rugged landscapes with stunning geological formations, such as deep canyons, high plateaus, and towering cliffs. The monument is home to diverse plant and animal species, including rare and endangered ones. It contains numerous cultural and historical sites, including ancient Native American dwellings and artifacts. However, the region's beauty and remoteness come with challenges. The land in the monument is rugged and remote, with few access roads or services. Harsh weather conditions and limited water availability make it challenging to visit. Despite these obstacles, the Grand Canyon Parashant National Monument remains a significant and valuable resource for those seeking to explore and appreciate the natural and cultural history of the American Southwest. The first known discovery of the Grand Canyon by Europeans dates back to September 1540 when the Spanish explorer Garcia López de Cardenas led an expedition to explore the region. Cardenas, a member of Francisco Bosques de Coronado's larger expedition, aimed to find the fabled 7 cities of gold. Guided by Hopi Native Americans, the expedition reached the south rim of the Grand Canyon. As they peered down into the canyon, they were awestruck by its vastness and rugged beauty. However, the expedition's attempt to descend into the canyon to reach the Colorado River was unsuccessful due to the sheer cliffs and challenging terrain. While Cardenas and his men did not uncover the cities of gold they sought, their encounter with the Grand Canyon marked the first known European discovery of this natural wonder. Over time, this encounter would set the stage for future exploration and settlement by Europeans in the American Southwest.